My little town, I grew up believing God keeps his eye on us all. Peace, light, and love, everybody. I wanted to welcome you to my blog again because I feel like I finally cracked the code. I finally figured out, not that it was such a complicated case, but I felt that there was a need to clarify the question, what really went on with the Chris Waats murder case. So to those of you who are not familiar, we're sitting here in this beautiful garden. Chris Waats is the notorious murderer who's now sitting in jail somewhere. It's hard to find him in jail, from what I've heard, because of his horrendous crime of murdering his pregnant wife, his beautiful pregnant wife, Shan'Ann Waats, and he snuffed the life out of his two adorable, gorgeous little girls, baby girls, Bella, 4 years old, and Sissy, who just turned 3 years old. More and more things are coming up because the police have released to the public about 1,000 pages or more, 2,000 I've heard last time, pages of correspondence. And I would like to take a different perspective on this case, because I believe what a lot of people say, they don't really apply. A lot of people say, you know why I keep talking about Chris Waats? I want to learn something from it. I want us all to learn a lesson so this doesn't repeat itself, so people can save themselves from being trapped into relationships with potential murderers or people that can harm them. They say it, but they don't really mean it, because all their intentions are clarified, when in fact what they do is self-promote, or just like say whatever thought comes in their mind, which is fine if you're a poet or you're in art, expressive art. But if we really want to figure out what's going on, we've got to do some detective work, take all the pieces of the puzzle and put it together in order to make something that makes sense, and a model that makes sense, and some sort of a theory. We need to build up a theory that we can use for people that find themselves in a similar situation. Experience helps. I want to tell you, experience, having gone through similar experiences, definitely helps to get a touch, a feeling for this sort of cases. Having experience with psychopaths is a plus. Yes. This is the only case where experience with psychopaths is an advantage. If you want to understand psychopaths, knowing them is a huge advantage, because it's like trying to figure out trees when you can't see them, or we've never been around trees. If you live in the desert, you don't know much about pine trees. And so this is, okay, so let's try to figure out, let me share with you what I figured out recently. I would like to share a quote by Father Joe, who rehabilitates addicts through yoga. I've attended his yoga rehabilitation workshop. And his first sentence that he repeats again and again, and it's so true, is from the Bible. He says, I don't know where exactly, it says, by the fruit of the tree, you know the tree. Something like that. Sorry if I misquote. So in other words, if you want to know the tree, what is the tree all about? Look at the fruit. And the metaphor is, of course, the tree is the family. And this is not a fruit tree. This is not a fruit tree, right? But had this been, let's say, a citrus fruit or any sort of fruit tree, you would see by the fruit what sort of a tree it is. Which means, like, when you look at a family and you look at the children that come out of the family, it tells you a lot about what sort of parents raised this child. So when we look at a murderer and the family says, oh, we don't know how he came out of this family, we gave him so much love. We don't know what happened to him. We gave him everything. We gave them our hearts and souls. We taught him, of course, they didn't teach him right from wrong. They forgot that little bit in the Bible. But they taught him unconditional love, which is good if he was a puppy. But if he's a human being who has to grow up in society and make moral decisions, which we have to do every single step of the way, is there any minute of the day when you are in interaction with other people that you don't make moral judgments? Whether it's not pushing the person in front of you, whether it's being kind to an elderly person or a person in need, it's little acts of kindness or little acts of cruelty or little acts of indifference that actually, as Albert Camus says, those are the choices that you make that make up the life that you have. The choices that you make every single day, whether to be a kind, cruel, or indifferent person. Are there other possibilities? I'm not sure. So let's go back to Chris Waats. For what I've figured out lately, there was a meeting between opposites. Shan'Ann Waats, a beautiful, generous, sweet, kind-hearted woman, as so many people who knew and loved her, including myself, just from the first video that I've heard her speak, I said, this lady has a huge heart. She's kind, she's sweet, she's genuine. And I couldn't say the same about her husband, though. I could say the opposite. So opposites attracted. A kind, loving, outgoing, generous lady full of joy of life meets a man who sort of looks like a house where the light is out. There's no light there. It's just looks like a gray day. Nothing's going on. Nothing too much is going on there. And if you've ever been in a shopping mall and found a lost little boy, this is what Chris Waats resembled, and this is why. Another metaphor, if you know American horror films from the 70s, there's the Blob. It's this little red jello that swallows everything that stands in its way. And in this case, the metaphor of the Blob is for mothers like the mother of Chris Waats, Cindy Waats, who said, I never had any problems with him. If a mother tells you she's never had problems with a child, whether it's a boy or a girl, that means either the child has developmental problems, like he can't walk and can't think properly, or this child has other problems, which are he has not developed his personality. You can see it from the age of 2. You saw it with Sissy. She's a healthy child who's jumping up and saying, no, this is a healthy child. A child that doesn't rebel, that does exactly what he or she is being told, is not a child that develops individually, apart from the parent. So a child like Chris Waats, that's raised by an overbearing mother, who swallows him up like the jello, who swallows up everything in the path, whether it's little dogs or children or men. She swallows up everything and doesn't let anything live outside of her blob entity. Now let's go back a little bit to the Oedipus complex and what it means. Since I'm Jewish, I can make Jewish jokes, yes, and get away with it. This is the definition of ethnic jokes. If you are of the ethnic group, yes, you can make those jokes. You cannot be called anti-Semitic, except if you are, what is the name of that Professor Noam Chomsky? He's the exception. No, he's taken it to the limit. Anyway, getting back, what is Oedipus? Let's go back. And who brought it into our awareness? It's a Greek tragedy that Dr. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis and modern psychology, sitting in Vienna, this Jewish guy who's trying to figure out relationships. Now, Jewish mothers are very famous for being overbearing. It probably has to do with the fact that they'd lived through horrible acts of violence towards them, where their babies were grabbed out of their arms and thrown out and shot or killed or destroyed, and lived in a constant state of anxiety. But Sigmund Freud didn't think about that as much as he thought, let's talk about Oedipus as a metaphor. So Oedipus was this Greek guy who the oracle prophesied. They said his destiny is that he will kill his father and marry his mother. And despite attempts to avoid this destiny, and this is what the Greek tragedy is all about, you cannot avoid the destiny. This is the problem of the tragic hero. He cannot avoid the tragedy, and in fact, he kills his father and marries his mother. And Oedipus complex was developed by Sigmund Freud to explain developmental issues in relationship between mother and son especially. There's also a daughter and father. When in a healthy development of a child, there is a bonding to the mother as the romantic figure. He wants to marry his mother. He loves his mother so much. But in a normal development, such as with my sons, sorry, but it's true, they grow up and eventually they find a suitable romantic figure in a partner their age. So they find the son finds a young woman his age in which to fall in love, and in the future, in the far future in my case, and some point in future, the son marries a woman, not his mother. He marries a woman and builds a healthy family, let's hope. If he indeed has been raised in a way that he knows what it's like to have a healthy relationship with other people. Now it has also to do, it takes two to tango. When you have an unhealthy personality disorder and an overbearing mother, everything adds up. Chris Waats was this weakling. He was like really nothing to look at if you looked at the videos. Classic case of really, the guy nobody wants. Everybody passes by, and all of a sudden this beautiful, generous, warm-hearted woman, strong lady who's dealt with a lot of difficulties and overcame them, meets him, and her heart, because she's such a big heart and she has so much empathy, she's drawn to the lost little boy. Another calculation is that she's been hurt by men who did not deserve her empathy and her love, as we call them in popular language, assholes. So finally, she thinks, I'm not going to get hurt by this guy because, first of all, I'm in a different league. And the other reason is he's a lost little boy. He will do as I say. I won't be hurt. He will not hurt me because little boys don't hurt. No. Guess again. They can hurt very much because what happens is these little boys haven't evolved into being adults. So they are not able to have the same sort of relationship an adult man has with an adult woman, which is to have actually empathy for her and to think about her. And so this lost little boy gets into a relationship with a mother figure, but she's not like his mother. She's not like a blob. She wants him to improve himself. She encourages him. And all of a sudden, from this unattractive, overweight man who has no confidence, from this frog appears a prince, because she's the sort of person who wants to help people to be better, wants to help because she likes to help people. She has what you call a helping syndrome, which is actually good if you know how to help the right people who appreciate it and love you for it and not destroy you for it. So this little boy is a little boy, and he gets tired and bored, and all of a sudden he meets someone, and this is a mega strong, totally strong attraction, because he meets his mother. He meets a dragon lady, a blob, a jello like his mother, a woman who's very manipulative, who wants to swallow him up and make him a puppet like his mother. And that's a very strong bond because she reminds him of his mother. And as we know, he has a mother complex, never got over, and all of a sudden it awakens the ancient, dormant feelings for his mother. Someone just like Mama. So this woman also has a hard time finding a mate because most men don't like vampires that latch onto them and drink their blood and make them do what they want. And all of a sudden, she has someone who will do exactly what she wants. Now she Googles, she's not a stupid lady. She knows what she's doing. She knows he's married, his wife is expecting a child. That doesn't stop her because she can Google what to do to make a man leave his wife and lie about it, because when you lie, you disrespect a person. And you disrespect a person when you don't care, when you have no empathy. You don't care about another person. They're just objects for you. So finally, he met his match. Birds of a feather flock together. Please excuse me, birds, for comparing you to these despicable people, Chris Watts' mistress and Chris Watts. And she lies again and again because there's like 2,000 pages that describe the correspondence, and Shan'Ann Watts is who she is, a compassionate, kind, loving person. And Chris Watts and his mistress are who they are, people that don't have any emotions towards other people, and the tragedy occurs. And that is the result of destiny. So please, if you're in a situation which sounds similar, familiar to what I've described, be aware. Peace